What is going on, everybody? You're listening to the Temple Sports Hour on Thursday in December. A big show ahead of you today. The usual Tuesday, Thursday crew here. John Cole, Ed LeFurge, Kevin Rowley, and a special guest in studio, one of the Temple greats, current assistant head coach, Aaron McKie. Aaron, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful, guys. Thanks for having me.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in studio. You were here 10 minutes before. We had a nice conversation about some basketball history, and it's fun to pick your brain a little before on air. And we're going to start off with the show talking about last night's tough loss. The St. Joe's Hawks take down the Temple Owls 58-56. Heartbreaking Big Five loss. Talk about some of those Big Five games when you played in your college career, and talk about the intensity on the court last night.
They were great. I think the beauty of it all was a lot of the guys that we played against in the Big Five, we will hang out with, and we played basketball against all summer long in the Sunny Hill League, and a lot of us that grew up together playing basketball against each other. But I think the biggest thing was it was always personal, and we played for city bragging rights. So, outside of playing in your conference, the Atlantic 10, and other conferences, some of the guys played in the Ivy League or whatever, you wanted to make sure you had those bragging rights in the city, which was important to us.
And Coach, last night's game, you see Will Cummings go out and play for 40 minutes, and Quentin goes out and plays for 37 minutes. Is that something concerning moving forward in the season? No,
we want to win, and I think those two guys give us the best opportunity to win games. Unfortunate for us last night, those guys had to play heavy minutes, and I don't think they have a problem with that. We just have to find a way to get those other guys to be able to give us some good, solid minutes, with guys coming off the bench and, the other guys that's in the rotation for us.
So, Coach, last year this team only won 9 games, and now they're at 4 wins already. What do you think the big difference is from last year to this year? Is it just that last year they were a really young team, and now they have one more year of experience under their belt?
I'm not sure. I think we have to continue to play more games to give us a good canvas to really be able to compare. I think from a defensive standpoint, our numbers are completely different.
Yeah.
For the most part, I think my feeling on that is I think if defensively you play every night, I think you give yourself a chance to win a game every night. If you approach it from the offensive standpoint, then offense is going to let you down. And right now, our offense is not really hitting on all cylinders right now, but it can only get better. We're not shooting that well from the field goal, the 2-point field goal percentage or the 3-point field goal percentage, but it can only get better for us, which is a good sign.
Joining us on WHIP right now is assistant coach Aaron McKie. Aaron, another thing we talked about before we got on air, and it was alarming to me that the leading rebounder last night was Josh Brown. He's a hustle hard player. He really comes off the bench with such energy. But to have a guy that's 6'3" coming off the bench leading your team in rebounds, what do the big men need to do going forward?
Well, I think with rebounding, it's you have to embrace contact, and sometimes when you play against teams that shoot a lot of jump shots, you tend to have a lot of long rebounds. And Josh is a tough kid, and he doesn't mind sticking his nose in there and being physical and going in there and get those rebounds. And sometimes that's what it takes. But I'm sure our big guys looked at the stat sheet and understand we need more from those guys around the basket and, in terms of rebounding and, on both ends, defensive rebounding and offensive rebounders, because we need the offensive rebounding on the other end because we're struggling right now offensively.
And, Jalen Bond's a guy who comes into Temple, transfers from Texas, and he's a guy that a lot of people, I think, anticipated to step in from the beginning and make a big impact. Right now he's averaging around 15, to 17 minutes per game. Is there an idea to try to get him some more playing time moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the reason we, brought him here. He's trying to feel his way. Sometimes it's an adjustment period. For guys that transfer and, sat out. He had the ankle injury to start the season. So, he's behind the 8 ball. But he's going to really help us as the season continues to progress. I think he's really going to be a guy that we can lean on, especially doing a lot of things, the grunt work around the basket. He's a guy I think we'll be able to lean on as the season goes on.
Aaron, a guy like Will Cummings, we talked about he played 40 minutes last night, and he's putting up the points. He's putting up good points per game, but he only went 3 of 15 from the field last night. Do you think there's some amount of pressure on him to be the primary offensive option on this team, or what's going on with Will Cummings?
I don't think he necessarily has to be the primary option. Like I said, I think if we can get something from Jalen Bond inside around the basket, if Q can continue to progress and play the way he played last night, I think that'll take some of the pressure off Will. I thought he was pressing early on in the season. You know, it's a senior year, and everybody want to go out with a bang. And I said, just take the pressure off yourself and continue to try to make these guys better out on the court. And I think that'll help him as the season goes on.
Joining us on WHIP is Aaron McKie. Aaron, another player that stuck out last night was Quentin DeCozy. Talk about what you've seen from him so far this season and, you know, how hard he plays out in the court.
Yeah, I thought Q rose to the occasion last night. And that's something that, you know, he and I talked about, you know, quite often. And he has to do that on a nightly basis. And when I say a nightly basis, not only games but practice. Your approach has to be the same, whether it's practice or whether it's a game. And he has that ability. We have to get him continue to play solid defense for us. He did a fantastic job last night on the offensive end and the defensive end. But unfortunate for us, we didn't come out with the victory.
And Coach, a couple weeks you have some players joining the team. They're eligible to go out and play in a game. What is it going to be like having those players back, and what can they bring to the team?
I think definitely with Devin Coleman and Jesse Morgan, they definitely bring shooting, the ability to shoot the ball, and will allow us to space the floor a little bit more. But again, it's going to be an adjustment period for those guys. It's not just you plug and play. You know, here it is, 2 guys that sat out a year, and now they have to get comfortable with playing with the guys out on the court in game situations. I think they gives a versatility, gives us a little bit more speed out there on the perimeter. And again, there are guys that when we put them out on the floor, they'll be able to make plays for us also.
So, Coach, you took a year off from coaching last year, is that correct?
Yes.
And before that, you were an assistant coach for the Sixers. And I just wanted to get your opinion on the whole tanking thing. And it's especially prevalent because they got their first win of the season last night, finally, against the Timberwolves. So I'd love to get your opinion. What do you think of tanking? Are you for it? Are you against it?
I don't. It's professional sports.
Yeah.
I don't think, obviously everybody can't win, but my only question is like, who do you get to sign? Who wants to come play for an organization that really has no desire to win? So I guess I take it as an on and off switch where, 1 minute you're trying to lose games and the next minute you're trying to win. I get the idea that you have to hit rock bottom first before you can start, building it back up. But in that situation, I feel bad for the players because you do have some NBA caliber players. But as time move on, I think the culture of NBA basketball will look at those kids as free agents as losers and probably feel that they don't fit in as players that could potentially be on their roster. I think Coach Brett Brown has his hands full with trying to sell these guys on being professionals and winning basketball games when they know in the back of their minds that they're really not, as an organization, trying to win games. I know, you play this game all your life, and that's the bottom line, is you're trying to win. So I know in those players' hearts, they're out there trying to win games, and hopefully, the plan works out, because I'm a Philadelphia 76er fan. But, I just think it's a tough sell for a major metropolitan city. You have a large fan base, not only here in Philadelphia, but across the country, for people to be, watching this all take place.
Aaron, since you're right now the assistant coach for the Temple Owls, you were an assistant coach for the Philadelphia 76ers for years. And I went down your resume and looked at the coaches you played under. And when you were playing on North Broad Street, you played under John Chaney. In the pros, you played under Doug Collins, Larry Brown, at the end of your career, Phil Jackson, and you were coaching under Doug Collins once again. All those guys are such legendary basketball coaches. And what did you learn from those guys, and what do you try to instill in your players right now?
I think professionalism, work ethic. Playing for those guys, it was real simple. You just came in and you got your work done. You studied the game. You studied the history of the game. and you embraced it, and as much as you could, you pass it down. We always felt like it's a pecking order in the NBA. When you become a 7-8 year vet, you grab those rookies and you take them under your wing and you show them the ropes and you teach them everything on and off the court. And, now it's those guys' job to pass it down. But I think the biggest thing is the coaches that I've had, tacticians. They're great with details, and that's important when you're dealing with young kids that's learning the game. Because when you get the kids out of college that come in the NBA for the first and second year, they're still essentially kids, and they're still basically learning the game. So you want to make sure they're as fundamentally sound as they could possibly be, and they understand the pro game in terms of work ethic and what they have to do on a nightly basis.
And yeah, you talk about these coaches who you had and worked with in the NBA, and what is it like now coming to Temple and working with Coach Dunphy?
Oh, it's great. Coach is, he allowed me to work and try to put my prints, on these kids here, and I enjoy working for him. He gives me freedom, but college is a lot different than pro. I like to think of pro basketball as country club, in terms of coaching, because you could grab those guys and get them out on the court, work them out. You could take them to lunch and take them to dinner and hang out and talk about life. And in college, you have rules. You have guidelines that you have to abide by, and only real time that you really get a chance to be around the guys a lot is, during the course of the season when you have practices and stuff like that, and they still have classes and everything. So you really don't get as much time as you would like to spend with the guys, because it's not just about basketball all the time. Sometimes you got to really get to know one another, I think, and we try to spend as much time with them and talk about life a lot of times, just to take their mind away from basketball sometimes. I think you get more out of them like that.
You mentioned spending time with the players in the professional game, and at Allen Iverson's press conference, he made a point to say that you were really influential on him, especially in his career. Could you talk about that and maybe how you influence other players as well?
It's a great gesture from him, especially somebody who's really well recognized on the national scene or on the global scene, I should say. But I think our friendship just naturally evolved. I don't think it was anything special behind seeking him out to be a close friend or him seeking me out to be a close friend. I think we had some mutual interests. We both enjoyed playing cards, and we would play PlayStation and stuff together. Sometimes you spend a lot of time with guys when you travel and you're on the road, and you're on planes and trains, and you really get a chance to know people. But I think more importantly, again, I'll go back to, it's not just about basketball. I think we spend a lot of time talking about life and some of the struggles I've had in life, some of the struggles he's had in life. And I think that's a natural connection for anybody, is when you have things that you have in common and that you can share. And we both, are students of the game of basketball, and we both enjoy, playing the game of basketball.
Joining us on WHIP right now is assistant coach Aaron McKie. Aaron, one last question before we get on out of here, since it's about time to end our first segment. You talk about connections, and I think of Philadelphia, a special connection to you. You played your high school ball at Simon Gratz, college on North Broad Street for Temple. You played for the Sixers for many years. Talk about what the city of Philadelphia means to you, because you obviously mean a lot to the city.
It's everything. I wear it on my sleeve wherever I go. Philadelphia has made me who I am today. All the hard life lessons, all the things that you witness, and growing up, we're rich in tradition, in history. We're rich in tradition, in basketball. I pretty much grew up here on Broad Street at Temple University, playing basketball here all my life, starting in the Sunny Hill League and, moving on to college. And now I'm back here. I'm eternally grateful for this university and giving me an opportunity at life, as I like to see it. And I just want to try to give as much back as I can to this university, and helping Coach Dunphy along with the team and the program and trying to build it. So You know, this university is special to me. Philadelphia is special to me, and I wear that on my sleeve.
Aaron, thank you so much for a couple minutes. We appreciate you joining us on Temple Sports Hour. Good luck on Saturday against LaSalle. It's a big one to Palestra. And anytime you want to come back, of course, you're more than welcome to.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Aaron.
Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Assistant Coach Aaron McKie joining us in studio for Temple Sports Hour. Coming up next, some Temple football talk. Saturday, fighting for bowl eligibility. Big one. Hopefully they get that 6th win. Last segment, our player haters of the week. And it's our last Thursday show, guys, so we got to enjoy this
That's
one.
right.
Aaron, once again, thank you. And we will be back after a short commercial break.